Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Right now in the story of One Piece, we are witnessing multiple important events unfold that could completely change the history of the One Piece story, making things go in completely unexpected directions and driving the storyline towards these major battles that Oda has foreshadowed for many years. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the next chapter, 1078 of the One Piece manga. We'll comment on possible events that could happen afterwards and what the outcome of this arc could eventually be. Before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, we know that the Navy is drawing ever closer to Egghead Island, but we also know that this is not going to be the moment where we see that great battle that Oda has been foreshadowing and even stated by the narrator, which is going to be able to shake the world. Now currently, the Straw Hats and Vegapunk are currently in some major peril, having to face the powerful Seraphim who are still preventing them from finding the real Vegapunk and Bonnie. In the last chapter, we saw that Shaka managed to find Stella, but was quickly shot in the head by the traitor Punk. This traitor turned out to be none other than York, who is out to see all the rest of the Punks and Stella assassinated so that they can earn the right to become a celestial dragon. Even though it looks like Shaka may in fact be dead, we know how Oda really likes to limit deaths. Although, again, that could be changing because we're heading into this final arc of One Piece. But still, there's always that hope that Vegapunk can be rescued and Shaka might still make it out alive. We saw in the previous chapters that there are search parties looking and trying to stop the Seraphim that are scattered around the laboratory. Jinbei and Stussy are together in Building B, on the second floor looking for Vegapunk, and so far they haven't encountered any obstacle yet. They're just talking to Sentomaru about Egghead's situation. This gives them the flexibility to not only have just a random encounter, but they may be able to take off and face off an enemy while looking for Vegapunk, possibly finding a Snake who's currently wandering around the laboratory, having defeated the last group she encountered. It seems like only Frankie was able to survive the Seraph, but his body is also completely petrified, and he may not be able to do anything at all, not even get in contact with Straw Hat Luffy. So it may come down to Stussy and Jinbei, who are going to be responsible for making S-Snake unpetrify their allies, allowing them to move again and prepare for a much larger fight that is certainly to be inbound. Another search party, consisting of Atlas, Nico Robin, and Chopper, are heading to the very abandoned laboratory where Vegapunk is, along with the Cypherpole agents and York. And York might right now be telling their secrets to Stella. And we don't know if this party is going to make it in time to save Stella from York, but we do know that York's objective is to get rid of Stella and the rest of the satellites, because then they can become a celestial dragon. But if you consider the trope of I'm gonna reveal my evil dastardly plan, this may leave just enough time where they'll be able to intercept York. And although we know that York is quite big, we don't necessarily know how strong of a fighter York is compared to, say, Robin or Chopper, much less is she strong enough to face all of them at once. Now, Atlas may be a considerably strong fighter because we saw that they've got some great stamina and strength, and they were capable of throwing Luffy in his normal form for a very good distance. But again, Nico Robin has a much higher mastery of her Devil Fruit, and can use it in several ways, including having her large demonic form that could easily take on York, as well as Chopper, who could turn into Monster Point, and has shown that in his recent arc, especially on Wano, is a very experienced fighter and can really add to that battle. But York may not be looking to face them head-on in combat, and they may have some other plan to face the Straw Hats or have another escape route and plan to get out of the laboratory in time. Another factor that we also have to consider is that the lab's communications have now been cut off because of what York has done. Now that Shaka is apparently dead, the communications won't return anytime soon, and that's going to prevent any information that York is the traitor from getting to the other parties and groups around the compound. Luckily though, Brook, with his Devil Fruit ability to separate from his body and go through walls, he's going to be able to find Vegapunk much sooner, and he's going to be able to go through walls and then spread the information about what's going on with Stella and York much faster. Just knowing who the traitor is and where Stella is would give the Straw Hats a huge tactical boost. Not only would they be able to get more information about what the Navy is doing and how York was planning to get off the island, they also now may have a much easier way of thinking of a plan of how to escape as quickly as possible. The only things that are really preventing them from escaping are finding Stella and, of course, defeating the Seraphim. Another question that we have about York as the villain is that although York is incredibly greedy and and considerably intelligent, she may not really seem to be much of a threat. Vegapunk didn't create her with the intention of using her for any kind of weapon or any other function that required effort. In fact, York doesn't even appear to have any weapons and just uses a large pistol, which we've seen a lot of other villains in the story use. And unlike the other punks, she doesn't seem to have created any weapons or tools of any kind of relevance either. So it's more likely that York's going to use the Seraphim in the laboratory to her advantage, because now that Shaka is no longer able to command the laboratory, York has managed to take over the complete possession of that facility, even managing to deactivate the boots that the Straw Hats have been wearing. So it appears the stage is being set that in the next chapter we'll likely see the Seraphim getting defeated, or at least be heavily damaged now that they know how to attack them and make use of the knowledge about their flames. And this then gives the time for the Navy to set up and introduce our X-Factor, the Gorosei, that's on board. One of the reasons we think that we're going to likely see the destruction of the Seraphim is that we've got Sanji currently facing off against S-Shark, a match where Sanji really is taking full advantage over his opponent and has also managed to withstand his strong punches without really showing any effort. So Sanji just needs to wait for the flames on S-Shark's back to go out, and then he can take him out, because as the flames are burning, we know that they have extremely high durability and pretty much nigh invulnerability against Sanji's attacks. The other reason we think about this is that Sanji is fighting for his most favorite thing, and that's Nami, because Sanji is always at his best when he's fighting for his friends, but most especially whenever he can impress Nami-san. One Seraphim that might take a little bit longer to defeat due to the fact that Kaku and Zoro are racing after them is S-Hawk, because for some reason he's now running around the laboratory in search of weaker opponents so that he can defeat them. But really, it's inevitable that S-Hawk is only going to run into more Straw Hats, and he's going to get destroyed anyway because Kaku and Zoro are on his tail and are absolutely going to ally up to take him down. This is going to really make it impossible for him to find anyone weaker to deal with. We also have Luffy and Lucci fighting against S-Bear, a fight that's not really going the way Lucci has imagined because Luffy is just attacking the Seraphim in a continuous way and doesn't seem to be thinking of any kind of strategy to destroy this robot. So just like Zoro and Kaku, we're gonna see Luffy and Lucci have to work together to find a better way to destroy this Seraphim. I mean, if you think about it, they currently are the strongest duo in the entire complex, so they really need to be free to go around and actually help out all the other groups because they have the biggest ability to bring down things with a single attack. The other thing is going to take a bit more time is the fact that S-Snake is the only one that they're going to want to take down alive, which might take a little more strategy because as we know, if they just kill her, the people that are petrified will not revert like we would expect the powers of other devil fruits to do. So this is going to be something that the group is going to have to keep working the problem on. Another reason why they need to get this done quickly is, of course, a Gorosei is on their way to Egghead Island, and they have absolute command over all the Seraphim, even greater than Vegapunk himself. So he would be able to give an order that even the punks wouldn't be able to override. So looking ahead to the next chapter, we're likely to see a catch-up kind of chapter where we're going to see how all of the different punks are doing, because we gotta see how the setup is going to go when the Navy starts to make landfall on Egghead Island. We also got to see if Stella is still alive and where the rest of the Straw Hats are. Speaking of the punks, it looks like Atlas may be the only one still operational, because Shaka might have been actually killed by being shot in the head, Lilith has been petrified by S-Snake, Edison is in some bad shape and being tended to by Nami, and Pythagoras may have been blown up by S-Snake a couple of chapters ago. So much of the punks have been destroyed or at least aren't able to help in any kind of battle, and we don't even know if they'll be fixed in time because the Navy is gotta be landing in the next several chapters. That would make it nearly impossible for any of them to recover in time before the Navy starts to do what it's gonna do to the island. And also, it's gonna take considerable time for them to be fixed because of their advanced level. And also, there's still the pressing matter of the enemies that are in the facility. As was said in chapter 1077, we know that the great event where the Navy is gonna arrive in Egghead is gonna take place. And they're there in massive force, the biggest fleet ever to be assembled, and all to take the life of Vegapunk and the Straw Hats. So when they do arrive, it's likely that we'll start seeing all of the seeds of combat starting off. And it even could be that there might be some advanced units of Marines that have already started to take a position on Egghead, looking to break down the defenses, all so they can get at the Vegapunk scientists and allies and keep them from escaping as well. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What do you think is going to happen when the Navy finally makes it to Egghead Island? Do you think we're going to see them jump right into battle, or is it going to be a buster call because everybody's in one place? Or do you think we're gonna see something more devious and maybe something involving the Gorosei? Next, what do you think is gonna be the fate of the punks? Do you think that they're gonna be revived and it's gonna be one of those everybody manages to pull through the battle? Or do you think it's more been by design and they're slowly being taken out so it'll give Stella the flexibility to leave on his own? Even though he might be bittersweetly thinking about it, it would be much more difficult if it was Stella and the rest of the Vegapunks trying to escape on Sunny. And finally, what are you looking forward to most in these next several chapters? The battle, the resolution with all of the Seraphim, or something else? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.